Hi kids. Today we're going to be learning about just the basics of methamphetamine use as a drug. And then you're going to read a story about a person who experienced what it's like to take meth and also what it's like to have a family member who uses meth. So our instructor today via the slideshow is Matt McBain. And today's lesson is on meth basics. In Montana, these are some of the statistics. These statistics have obviously changed. This is an older slideshow, but in 2005, there was 8.3% of Montana high school students reported using meth. We don't have the new data out, but in 2016, we saw a decrease in meth use, but again, it's gone up again because meth is a pretty readily available drug. 9% of the population uses it. 67% of the women in a Montana prison are there for meth-related charges. That is still true. And a lot of cases that the judges are a part of report that they deal with meth use. High school students do report using meth. These statistics have gone down a little bit. Meth is a synthetic nervous system stimulant, which means it's a man-made stimulant. A stimulant means that it increases our heart rate. The high can last anywhere between 2 and 16 hours. That's one of the reasons people turn to it. It is a very cheap drug. It's usually about $25 a hit, but it lasts for a long time. It's very addictive and has extreme withdrawal symptoms. These are some of the other names for meth. Why is it important for us to know the other names of drugs? So if you're ever offered something and they use a slang term, you would know what you're being offered. So these would be some of the slang names for meth. The history of meth is pretty interesting. Some of you guys have been studying World War II with Mr. Cobb. You've probably learned that in World War II, meth was given to the soldiers and the factory workers, and that one of the reasons they were given meth was so that they could stay awake and work longer shifts. Meth was also used legally by college students, truck drivers and athletes in the 50s. Again, that was because they were able to stay awake longer and they had heightened, their senses were just more heightened. In the 60s, it was prescribed as weight loss. It did help people lose weight, but people became addicted and there were a lot of other symptoms. In the 70s, we saw distribution of it by motorcycle gangs. And in the 90s, there was an epidemic with its availability. It went away for a while in the 2000s, and now we're kind of back to meth being the drug of choice. Alcohol, nicotine, and marijuana are also drugs of choice right now because they do have addictive qualities. Why do people make the wrong choice to use meth? Well, oftentimes females will use it to lose weight. Workers will use it to work an extra shift. Athletes might use it to help with physical and mental performance. It's used recreationally to stay energized. And like I said earlier, it's less expensive and more available. How is meth used? There are 4 different ways meth is used. It can be smoked. It can be snorted. It can be taken orally, which means you're not eating it, but you're huffing it. And it can be injected. How you use it will depend on your kind of high. If you've ever seen any of the commercials for meth use, you'll see in them that oftentimes injection is the final way that they use it because at that point they're trying to get a high and their bodies maybe become where it's used to the drug, and so injecting it right into the bloodstream will give them the high. One of the reasons that we hear the slogan meth not even once is because once you use it the first time, they say that you seek that first high, and you never get it again. And so oftentimes people will switch how they use it, trying to seek that first high. So like I said, how it's used alters the mood. If you take a look at this graph, you'll see the age of when users first tried meth. You'll notice that your age group is the second highest. The highest age group is the high school kid age group, and the next highest would be the college age group. But also notice that the under 7 category and the over 44 category. So under 7 is pretty scary because that means parents have meth in the house and kids might be accidentally using it. And then the 44 and over category, which would be my category, means if they've been using meth for that long, there's a possibility that they're probably not even alive. If you look at the age 12 to 23 categories, those are our highest. Those are also the times when we kind of have the mentality, it can't happen to me. Nothing's going to happen to me. And so kids are willing to take risks at that age. And that's oftentimes when we see drug use accelerate. What's the appeal of meth? Well, these are all the things that people use it. It's what appeals to them. It can change a person's mood. So if you're super sad and depressed, might make you not feel that way. It can help decrease your appetite. It can help you intensify your emotions. So if you're a person that's quiet, it might make you more aggressive. And it might give you even a false sense of self-esteem. Aggressiveness is a big one, and that's one of the scary things. They often say don't ever approach someone who has been on meth, or if you think they're on meth, because they're probably pretty aggressive and also probably kind of psychotic. The cycle of meth, the first one is the rush. So when they first take meth, whether orally, injecting it, sniffing it, any of those ways that we talked about earlier, the rush is about 5 to 30 minutes, which is a pretty good high. Then it goes into the high, which can last up to 4 to 6 hours or 4 to 16 hours. During this time period, especially if it's gone on for a while, the person might become argumentative. So this is, if a person's using meth, you probably don't want to get into a serious conversation with them. Then it goes into the binge. So they're feeling good. They felt that pleasure from the rush. They felt the high for up to 16 hours. And if I'm feeling good for that long, why not just keep taking it? So what happens is a person would binge. They would just use meth every day for 3 to 15 days. At that point, they become very hyper delusional, which means they really don't know what's going on. They're very hyperactive. They could be tweaking and twinging. They're probably pretty paranoid. Then what happens is, like I just said, the tweaking stage, that's where they're just very irritable and have a lot of paranoia. Oftentimes we'll see people's houses or people who live with meth in their house, or even a person who's using meth, they try to hide. They're scared of things. So they might have curtains over their windows. They might have tinfoil over their windows. Might be people that wear a hood. They're just trying to hide. If I had my hand in my pocket right now and I pulled out my phone really quick, someone that's tweaking might mistake that as being a gun. So they're going to be very paranoid acting. Then comes the crash. So after about a month of using, your body just can't take anymore. You're not sleeping, you're not eating, and all of a sudden your body just crashes. And oftentimes the crash can be 1 to 3 days. That's where they just don't even wake up. So if this is a person who's a student, they're not going to school. If this is a person who is a parent, they're not feeding their kids, they're not putting their kids to bed, they're not clothing them. If this is someone who is holding a job, they're just not going to work. So the crash is pretty scary and pretty serious. And then what happens if they choose to stop and not take any more hits? They'll go through an extreme withdrawal. The withdrawal phase is brutal for a meth person. A person who uses meth, they're very depressed, they're confused, and they have really bad cravings. They say 1 day off of alcohol is better than 30 days off of meth. So what do we see? People relapsing. So meth, if you know of any meth users and they have gotten rid of their habit, they deserve hugs and pats on the back because they have gone through a brutal withdrawal period to be where they are today. What can happen with people with meth use is that they often will seek a condition where they used to use. So if I always got high in an alley behind a pizza place, one of the things that can hurt me in my treatment would be if when I smell pizza. It could bring back the feelings of the rush of using meth. And so oftentimes what happens with a person who uses meth and tries to quit is that they have to avoid those situations where they used, which is a really hard thing to do. So these are just some of the long-term effects of meth. Depression, abnormal moods, insomnia means they can't sleep. Paranoia and psychosis just means mentally they just struggle. And also their brain has some very, very, very serious changes, and it can't be undone. A lot of times people try to use meth as a way to lose weight. If you notice here, it's not something you want to use in order to look better. Notice the open sores. The poison in one's system tries to get out. And so what happens is the person, the poison, the chemicals that are in meth is under this, it's in your bloodstream, and it just causes you to itch, and it causes you to feel yucky. And so the person up there with the bed sore or with the sores right here, they are probably struggling with just the itch. This right here would be what it looks like for a person who used. Notice her changes. Just because she got thinner doesn't mean that she got more beautiful. Her body, her face really changed. And again, this picture also shows that. Oh, where are we at here? So about 98% of people who try meth will become addicted, whereas 10% of the people who try alcohol will become addicted. Meth production, where is it made?
No, I woke up stressed.
And what to look for?
Stress, you need to go inside.
These are some of the things what to look for. A lot of places, oops, hang on here. So as you can see, this is where meth is made in Montana from larger laboratories in California. And then we also will see it in small areas like apartments, hotel rooms, storage units. We even see what's called traveling meth labs, like when people just throw stuff out the window. These are some of the ingredients that are used in meth. Notice these are things that we see in our garage. Or in a shop, or these are things we use in our car. So when they mix all this stuff up, that's how you get meth. So precursors is the chemical that that is essential to the production of a controlled substance. So in meth, you have all those other ingredients, and in meth, the precursor is that you have to have the pseudoephedrine and the ephedrine. And so that's why when you go to the store to get Sudafed or cold medicine, they ask you to put your driver's license in there so that they can track how much you're buying. The last one is they large tanks of anhydrous ammonia are often used. So what we see today as a way to help with that is that people just put locks on there, and so people can't just pull up and try to take some of your ammonia. So if you know of someone who uses meth, you want to stay away. Meth labs pose a serious threat, but they can also be very explosive. If you know of anybody that's using meth, you should report it. And thank you for watching. If you watch today's video, you will get 20 points for watching if you can send me the code for your class period. If you are in first period, your code is burpees. If you are in second period, your code is jump. If you are in third period, your code is kick. If you are in fourth period, your code is throw. And if you are in fifth period, your code is skip. You will have a chance to send that word to me, and it will be attached to this video. In Google Classroom, it will be a separate assignment. You'll just type it and send it to me. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please let me know. After watching this video, I need you to read the story, Cassie's story. It Can't Happen to Me. It's a little bit long, but it's a very, very good story that talks about a real life story of a Montana family who went through the struggles of having a daughter on meth. And then you will have 5 questions to answer on that story. Have a great week, and hopefully I will see you soon.